I think that is the case. I think they are still the third best team, and I still don't think that they're any better than the New Orleans Saints either, or the Green Bay Packers for that matter. It's interesting, I do power rankings on Tuesday on my podcast, which is right here on the radio.com app. And I think I had the Rams like 12 or 13. I think this probably makes them better than the Eagles, the Cowboys. I'm not sure it makes them better than the Vikings or the Panthers. Maybe that's the level they're on now. I certainly don't have them up there still with San Francisco, Seattle, Green Bay, and New Orleans. This smells to me, Dave, like desperate times call for desperate measures on multiple levels. Number one, you're the LA Rams. From a strictly football standpoint, they have lost 3 games in a row. They've invested a lot of money and resources into Aaron Donald, Brandon Cooks, Todd Gurley, Jared Goff. They got to make this work. I mean, this is their core. These are their guys. I think that they've got a great core group in their prime. They should be able to go on a run of Super Bowl appearances deep into the postseason, and it wasn't looking like that was the case. So they make the big move for Ramsey, 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick. And Dave, they didn't even get him signed to a long-term deal. They didn't even get him signed to a long-term contract, which means you just gave a guy, and there's so many different aspects to this, not even funny, but you just gave a guy that just skipped his team's last 2 games and said he had a back injury, but basically just skipped him because he could. You just gave him a blank check, an absolute blank check, because you can't afford to trade 2-1 and a 4th-round pick and not get him signed to a long-term deal. He now has all of the leverage in this situation. So there are so many different layers to this. Strictly football standpoint in LA, the off the field issues they're having in LA, how much of this is just a buzz, a splash for luxury boxes and club seats and things like that. We've got the hold in from Jalen Ramsey that worked. Is that a template for players moving forward? Jalen Ramsey now has to pay 13% in state income tax. Hope you're happy about that. I mean, I could talk for 3 hours just about this Jalen Ramsey trade to the LA Rams.
But where I want to go with it is in terms of Les Snead and the LA Rams organization. I feel like sometimes when you take a trip, right? I've seen my wife do this. She'll bring like 9 pairs of shoes and she won't bring any t-shirts. I feel like that's the way this LA team is right now. They have a lot of flash. They have a lot of cool stuff, a lot of jewelry, a lot of fancy shoes, but not enough t-shirts. The base of your outfit. They have no offensive line. And what they don't have is first round picks. 2017 all the way to 2021. That is, they will go 5 straight years without a first round pick. Is that just too much to give up if you're the Rams and you don't have a great offensive line?
Yeah, it is. Now, I think they would argue that there are only so many truly difference-making players in the league and that they've got a bunch of them now and they've got them in their prime. And after they get Jalen Ramsey a new contract, they'll have them all locked up for a long haul at important positions. And I respect that. But Andrew Whitworth is not playing great, number one. Number two, this is his last year, you have to imagine. They had to convince him to play this year. What happens when they need a new left tackle? There's not a lot of places to find those guys. And one of them is in the first round. They don't have any first-round picks. I mean, I cannot imagine this being a successful way to have sustained excellence for an NFL franchise, to just be trading away all your first-round picks like this. And even Ramsey, he's a really good player. But they play a lot of zone with the Rams. He was playing a lot of zone with Jacksonville. This is not like a lockdown, man-to-man team or a lockdown man-to-man guy. Now, maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll put him in lockdown man-to-man situations. Maybe he'll do it and it'll make a marked difference. But I don't think that this makes them as good or better than the best teams in the NFC. And it feels like, almost feels like a Hail Mary on this season to try to be relevant on the field so that they can have some success off the field. It's not a move I would make. It's a very, very aggressive move. Some people will tell you, though, Dave, that, usually with these big trades, the team that gets the best player, the team that gets the elite player is the team that usually wins. I respect that. The Bears probably feel that way about Khalil Mack, but that's not how the Vikings feel about how the Herschel Walker trade went. And I just think that the Rams, wow. I mean, let's put it this way. I cover the Eagles for WIP Radio. I'm glad the Eagles didn't do this. And I don't think there's any way the Eagles would have done this without making sure he was signed to a long-term deal as part of this trade.
Now, you could argue the Eagles have an even bigger need in the secondary, but clearly they did not want to offer up this package. I still think, bottom line is, you're still the third best team in your division. No way they are better than San Francisco, and I don't think they're better than Seattle either right now. And mortgaging your future is the present for the NFL, because Houston, as we know, gave up 2 first-rounders for Laramie Tunsil, and Chicago gave up a number 1. Pittsburgh gave up a number 1. Look, this is what we're seeing around the league. What Houston comes into play here when you see they gave up 2 number 1s, but it's more the Jadeveon Clowney situation. I have to applaud Jacksonville because Jadeveon Clowney was essentially given away, almost the same compensatory pick they would have gotten anyway had he walked after the season. So do you have to applaud Sean Khan for getting all of that booty for a guy that wanted out of that situation? So yes, the player empowerment trend continues, but Jacksonville really got a pretty good haul here. Can't imagine they could have done any better for a guy that wanted to leave.
No, I mean, they literally just got 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick for a guy that wasn't actually playing football for them. He wasn't playing for them. And you're right. I love the comparison to Clowney for sure, but that is a haul. And I also think it's a nice job by the Jags of self-scouting and saying, you know what? We're not a player away here from actually, being a perennial Super Bowl contender. We need some more reinforcements. And this guy doesn't really want to play for us, so let's get him out of here. Let's get people here that want to play for us, and let's replenish the ranks, if you will, with these first-round picks. I think it's a bad job of self-scouting by the LA Rams. I don't know. They might not even make the playoffs, so these picks might end up being middle of the pack. It's not like last year where they were picking 31st. These picks could be 14, 15, 16, maybe even higher. Who knows? Yeah. So these end up being pretty valuable picks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doesn't really help them much this year. And, this year could spell the end for guys like Doug Marrone, Tom Coughlin, Dave Caldwell. But credit them and credit Shad Khan for getting an absolute haul and not even have to dealing with the fact that the team wanted to sign him to a new deal and just getting rid of him, getting him off the books. I think it's great.